Hey guys, thanks for coming. A couple comments, and thanks to you guys for helping us with the 100,000. So many things are great in college sports. Maybe some things aren't so great and occupy a lot of news. I'm really grateful for some people really helped us with watching Paris Campbell's and Joe Burrow's and Jerome Baker's, Draymond Jones play in front of 100,000 people, and it got to him. I talked up to Michael Jordan, our freshman guard, and I asked him how he feels. He said, "I'm really nervous," and that's you got to find out how guys perform in those kind of arenas and those kind of situations. And I'm extremely grateful to Ohio State Buckeye Nation for doing that today. That was awesome. And our strength coach made a couple calls and asked for good weather. It happened. Coach Marotti's in charge of weather. And just of all the, like I said, there's some good things, great things, some maybe not so great things in college sports you have to read about and you don't want to read about it. That wasn't all good right there. That was a bunch of winning gone on. Good effort by players. Maybe some guys didn't play very well, but that's okay. It's spring practice. But more than anything, to see fans enjoy themselves and some former players like Brad Roby come back, Jack Meyer come back, and then all those players get ready to get drafted. Extremely proud of where we're at as a program. And very young. I mean, I'm not, we wouldn't win a lot of games right now, but we don't have to yet. But very pleased with where we're at right now. I'll answer any questions for you.
Front row, Bill.
What did you like and what didn't you like from today?
I liked our defensive line. You know, there's Mike Hill, Draymond Jones was all over the field today. Jay-Sean Cornell played well. I think Joylyn Holmes and Sam Hubbard played well. Tyquan Lewis didn't play, so you have to pick up the pieces of what left the program. The message was very clear to our team, and if you're going to play quarterback at Ohio State, you need to be a Heisman candidate. So I don't need phone call. Well, my son, I should be able to play. No. If you play quarterback at Ohio State in this offense, you have to be a Heisman candidate, or we're going to suffer. You have to be a high draft pick to play defensive end. And we're not embarrassed. We're not ashamed to say that's what has to happen. If you play receiver at Ohio State, you have to start in the National Football League. That's what's happened the last, from Bubba Caldwell at Florida to, some of the great receivers we had there to carrying on here with Philly Brown, Devin Smith, and continued with Mike Thomas, who's going to leave us, and then same thing with tight end, Marcus Ball. You're following Jeff Harmon and Nick Vannett. You have to be an NFL tight end. And so we're not going to change our standards. And that was the message all week to our players. We certainly don't lower our standard just because a player moves on. That's not what this place is all about. And so that's what I like best is the fact I saw some guys perform. The Paris Campbell had to make that catch at the end of the game. It was a great catch. I watched the whole thing. You do that in practice, it's not that big a deal. He has to do that in a game, and I saw him do it. So there's a bunch of really good things. What I didn't like, I liked it all. I love seeing our former players come back with big smiles on their face. I grabbed a bunch of them. I said, look around at what you're a part of building here. And not just building it, being a part of this exceptional place. 100,000 people came watch the practice. Pretty cool.
Far left, Austin.
Urban, you touched on it. Most of the familiar faces were on the sideline or at halftime. Yeah. You have said since January you didn't need a reminder, but maybe for fans or the public, was this an example of there's a lot of talent walking out of the door and how difficult it may be to replace someone with all these young faces? Well,
there's a common denominator, going all the way back to Bowling Green. The teams that have great success, they're the ones that come back. If you were part of a really bad class, you didn't play well, those kids don't come back because what are they going to come back for? And say we were the average ones. And so, University of Utah, to see those kids come back, they're part of the 12-0 team. To see Florida, the 2 national championship teams come back. To see the teams now, I'm seeing, to see, the Mewhort and the Zach Borens come back and look around, and it's just, talk about making your day for the rest of our life. The Zach Borens all the way up to Eli Apples, and this is their home, and they come back and be extremely proud of what they've done.
Front row right, Tim.
Yeah, Urban, speaking of quarterbacks, Joe Burrow had a big statistical day, but he also seemed extremely accurate. Has he been coming on as the spring went on, and what did you just see out of him today?
Yeah, Stephen Coyer also had the last 2 weeks were pretty good. I think he played okay, too, in the game. I haven't got to see it, but he took the team down the field and drove the ball. Joe Burrow has been coming on. He was a guy that last year I had my concerns last season, just arm strength to release, twitch, ability to run the ball, because you have to do that. And he's gotten better, but he's a grinder. He comes from a really good family that's tough people, and you can see him starting to grow.
And you see coming out of this, Torrance Gibson.
Got a long way to go. Yeah, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, you know, it's a freak, but he's got to go get the ball. And you know, he's 6'4", whatever he is, and he's got a 35-inch vertical jump, and we're going to teach him how to use that thing, because he's a very good young man. He's trying really hard. It's a position switch. You know, he was a quarterback in high school.
Far left, Ari.
Urban, speaking of, just after what Austin asked about watching talent go out the door, you hearing names like Joe Burrow, Torrance Gibson. We've asked you over and over again about Mike Weber for 14 months to kind of see them all on the same field, maybe on different sides of the ball at times. But could you see your future kind of coming together a little bit when some of these guys? And then, of course, how'd you think Mike Weber played?
Yeah, I do see it, and I'm like I said, I'm going to go home. I'm very pleased. I'm good. I'll probably watch the film and get sick to my stomach. But what I saw today was the future's bright at Ohio State. It's just there's a gap there a little bit. Whenever you lose 9 juniors, there's a gap, and whenever you have a gap, you know, it's like missing a recruiting class. When you lose that many players, the most I think we lost is 6 one year. That's a 6 premier players you're losing. So you get that gap, and someone's got to, and that's up to the staff to get the, because there's a lot of talent. Just got to push them up a year.
Do you have any comments on just Mike Weber from what you saw out there?
Yeah, I think he played really good. You know, on purpose, we didn't pound people today. It was more of a throw offense. But on the one drive where, you know, I kept calling the play saying I want to see him do what he can do. And Carlos Hyde was there, so they're starting to compare him to Carlos Hyde. Easy now. He hasn't reached that level yet.
Okay, folks, we're going to do one more question back here with Jared because we got players up here, and I know we need to get you some players. Jared?
Urban, we've asked you a lot about defensive line this spring. Wanted to ask you about some of the guys that we saw today, like Cornell and Jones. Devon Hamilton had a big game, it looked like. What's your impression of them as a group now as you leave spring and maybe the growth they've made? Oh,
there's a lot of pressure on Coach Johnson, that unit. You know, when we won the national championship, the defensive line played as well as anybody team in America, and a good chunk of those guys are gone. So I think they're talented, very eager. We have an excellent D-line coach, and good thing we're allowed to spend time with our players now in the summer. The old days, you were done. They weren't allowed to even talk football really with them until August. Now we get to still spend time with them. And so the learning process has to continue. But we finished pretty good in the defensive line the last few practices.